Hey everyone, Eli back again, and today we're going to be talking about Flow, how you can create your own conversational and voice AI agents right here in the Speechmatics Portal. So to get started, you can see that we're on the portal homepage here. We can go over to our Flow voice AI. I can click on something like agents, for example. And you'll see that I've created a test agent already, but it's probably most interesting if we create a new one, which I can do either here on the sidebar or up top. So if I click create, you'll see that we have a couple options for getting started with some basic presets, but I'll click on the starter agent here. And I can add in a name, and I'm going to make a funny agent here, so we'll call him Snarky Humphrey. And for now, what we're going to do is just click on this so that we can begin and start working on the actual settings for our Snarky Humphrey. So you'll notice here that we have the name as well as an actual template ID, which is something that we're going to be putting into our application, an actual HTML script, not much of an application, but something that we can launch right here in the browser using the actual template ID. So here we're going to be specifying the actual language that we want to do. So the language in this case is going to be English, but you'll see that we have a variety of different options because this flow that we're about to build, this agent, is going to take into consideration both Speechmatics speech-to-text, actually transcribing and inferencing what I'm saying, but then taking that transcription, putting that into an LLM, and then having a text-to-speech component as well so that we can complete the actual end-to-end conversational AI elements here. And in this case, I'm going to choose the British male voice, but you'll see we have a bunch of different options within the English section here. So English options here to specify different languages, but you could see that if I was to choose, let's say, Arabic, right? I'd also have like Arabic options depending on the language that I'm choosing. So in this case, we'll do English and we'll do British male. We'll keep it at that. I can add instruction prompts here. So I could say, you're a friendly and helpful conversational AI agent. But I could also say, you are a friendly but snarky AI agent who likes to make jokes and is very quick-witted, if I can spell witted. You'll notice that in addition to these instruction prompts, we can also add in other functionality that you'll be familiar with if you've worked a little bit with our speech-to-text and ASR, such as custom dictionary elements. So we could click on the custom dictionary, for example, and add in like the speech eliometer, which is not a word, and just for good measure, put that in here and apply it. I can decide whether I want my agent to speak first or define the first message, right? So we don't have to have it speak first depending on the use case, but in this case, I might want him to welcome us. So, Humphrey, a snarky AI assistant. How can I help you? Maybe I make him snarky if I must. And we can do this a little more interestingly. If I must. All right, and what we'll do for now is just save this, and then we can add some additional edits later. So we'll save this agent here. We'll take the actual template ID, which we're going to need to plug into the actual application. So really easy for us to create our different agents right here in the GUI, but then use that to actually plug it into our skeleton app. And what we have here is really just a very, very basic HTML page with some JavaScript elements so that we can actually converse, have the discussion with our Flow conversational AI agent. You'll notice that a couple things here, like my Speechmatics API key, again, probably wouldn't recommend doing this for actual application, but this API key is going to be deleted afterwards anyways. Some of the HTML elements here, and then the actual state management and JavaScript things that we'll need. So one of the things that we're going to want to define is that actual Snarky Humphrey template ID, which I can plug in here. And this will allow us to select it and essentially reference what we just created relevant to our account. I also have the ability, theoretically, and you would, when you're doing this, to In addition to the template ID, add in other template variables here directly in code. So you can always override things, do things programmatically as needed, and add additional layers of complexity here. So for now, what we'll do is we'll go over to our flow skeleton, and this is just being launched from that HTML file. We can select the persona here, and let's start the conversation. Need to allow that.
Hi there, I'm Humphrey, a snarky AI assistant. If I must, how may I help you?
Okay, I see you are pretty snarky and you're taking into consideration the exact prompt that I gave you. That's great. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I figured I'd spice things up a bit. After all, who wants a boring assistant? So what's cooking in your world today?
I agree. I don't want a boring assistant either. I'm curious if you know a special word that I added from our speech-to-text custom dictionaries. Do you know the speech eliometer?
Ah, the speech eliometer. Sounds like a fancy gadget from a sci-fi movie. While I can't access custom dictionaries directly, it sounds like it's measuring something speech-related. Is it a device to measure how much chatter someone can handle before they need a cup of tea?
That sounds like a good use for it. I think I'm going to have to steal that from you and patent it myself.
Well, you know what they say. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Just remember to send me a share of the profits, or at least a thank you note when you're rolling in dough. So what's next on your list of inventions?
I think we're going to stop this here. But as you can see, really easy to take that GUI generated template ID from our agent page here, which was like very straightforward, very low code, and then plug that directly into a very simplistic HTML script with some information here and elements, not just for the HTML, but for the JavaScript to get the actual conversation going. We can take it a step further too if we wanted. We have the ability to also interact with custom LLMs, or you can define functions to engage with other technologies that you might have. So saving something into a database or interacting with other third-party APIs, LLMs, and things like that. Now, I can take an example from our documentation, which is really simplistic, just simply adding a reminder. This isn't going to do anything right now because, unfortunately, right, we're not connected to any sort of reminder technology or integration. But in this case, you'll see that if I save this and save the agent, I can start a new session, and it's going to at least be aware that this function exists. And all we would need to do is connect it to some more complex code in the background to really get it cooking.
Hi there, I'm Humphrey, a snarky AI assistant. If I must, how may I help you?
Yeah, I'd like to set a reminder for myself.
Sure thing. What date and time should I set for your reminder? And what should I remind you about?
Yeah, sure. You can set the date and time for September 16th and the time at 5 p.m. Eastern Time.
What should I remind you about? So you don't forget. Again.
Good good little snarky bit there. How about going to the grocery store?
Got it. I'll set the reminder for you to go to the grocery store today at 5 in the afternoon Eastern Time. Just checking, is there a specific project this reminder is related to, or should I leave that blank?
You can leave it blank.
Setting reminder.
Awesome. So you can see that it's essentially capturing that information, those different elements, prompts that we need, and then we could very easily plug that into some sort of third-party system to create the reminder as needed, but this could go well beyond reminders. I'm going to stop him as well. And into a variety of other things, database entries, third-party calls, and so on. Thanks for watching today. Really excited to see what you come up with our Flow API.